him on board then. Sanjiv, hi, good morning. Good to have you on the show. Sanjiv, what's really happening with the market? I mean, Kunal and I were just chatting that yesterday's closing and day before's closing at an index level was exactly the same to the point decimal. But then again, within the index, there's so much volatility. What's happening within mid and small caps is just so stock specific. Actually, the entire market has become so. And that mammoth FII selling, yesterday's print was more than 6,000 crores.
Yeah, good morning, Aisha. Well, that is to be expected. You've got three things going. One, we are the cusp of the election result. In the next 2 weeks. B, large part of the earnings are priced in. Three, China's coming back very strongly, and I would expect some part of the large FI selling to go to ETF flows in China. Now, all that bodes well in the sense that the weak money will be out, and we'll have flushed the system, which was anyway looking very, very topish at 22,800. However, the resilience yesterday was the mid-cap index. I mean, look at how metals came back. Look at how PSUs, pulled back with REC. So I think this is a market which is giving an opportunity. We were very clear that we are overbought at 22,800 and the index on the bank nifty at 50,000. We've seen a lot of cleanliness now. I think another day of volatility next week. I think we should be up and about. Maybe today also. Yesterday I told you we'll close in the green. We did manage that. Today again we should have a much better day than yesterday, notwithstanding the weekly expiry. But aside from the index, it is to focus on stock-specific ideas where we think there is going to be a lot of money to be made, particularly some of the select PSUs in the metal counters and private counters, which are looking very, very attractive.
I'm going to come to those stock ideas in just a bit, but your erstwhile favorite L&T, tell us how's it that you've digested the numbers, because I can see brokerage after brokerage is actually cutting their price targets this morning, and they're saying that the weak parts of the guidance do not really come as a surprise. If there is weakness in L&T, do you recommend buying into the stock then?
Well, yesterday also I opined that large part of the good news will be in the numbers. Now, obviously at such a big base, L&T is arguably the largest infrastructure player. You cannot but have profit booking because it's been a darling of a stock which is overowned by most as far as institutions go. So there will be this conversional downside. I've been tracking L&T for years. Whenever the results come, there is a downtick only to be caught up and bought when it corrects by 4 to 5%. And that is what I think will be the case now. Now, obviously, there will be a little bit of slowdown, but look at the way ABB, Siemens, the new launches of the manufacturing funds which are coming, particularly HDFC and a whole host of, I think all opportunities will be buying because the liquidity is the sheer factor. Nobody wants to miss out on the manufacturing. However, we feel L&T will be a market equal weight. FMCG and metals are something which we are more bullish on right now, where the opportunity lies better.
Okay, speaking of L&T, let's hear it out then from the management speaking as well, as they reported a higher order inflow. Let's hear out what they had to say regarding their projections down the line and the Q4 numbers.
Since we have had a very large base of orders of almost 3 lakh crore, and considering that maybe 4 or 5 months we might lose out in the government formation, new government, all of that political issues, we've assessed a growth of around 10% in terms of fresh order intake for the FY25. But looking at our order book of 4.75 trillion, we do think that the revenue growth would be around 15% or thereabouts. We think that the execution, which is at 21%, which execution has resulted in 21% growth in FY24, could be around maybe 15% or thereabouts. Given the geopolitical issues, there's a lot of speculation around what will be the consequences in terms of logistics cost, what will be the consequences in terms of energy cost. A lot of industry is also switching over and doing energy transition. Margins that we will report on 15% revenue growth for the core businesses would be around the current levels, which is 8.25 thereabouts.
Okay, that's the view coming in from the L&T management post the numbers. But Sanjiv, to the point that you were making, there is still abundance of opportunities in the market, and PSUs is what you're focusing on, especially within the metals pack. So let's have your ideas for the day.
Aisha, also, L&T management, the big takeaway should be that the Red Sea crisis has definitely affected that MENA region. And as you are aware, 25% of their business comes from Middle East. So I think that could be why they have lowered their guidance. And they are generally a company which under promises and over delivers. So take it with that pinch of salt that if you see a resolution of that, which I think is very much on the cards over a period of time, then that could also be a very big positive for L&T, Thermax. And if you saw Bharat Forge's language, they are extremely bullish on the longer term. So I think a consolidated part, dips should be done as a SIP, because this is one blue chip which must be in your. So simply put, both the plays are NALCO and SAIL. I think NALCO, National Aluminium, is undoubtedly, arguably the best play. We have NMDC, NALCO, and SAIL. All these three are looking extremely good. They've hardly corrected from their recent highs. In fact, NMDC is at a new high. And the fourth is Vedanta. Mr. Anil Agarwal is telling you as good as gold is copper, zinc, bauxite, and aluminium. And how can you ignore the largest player in India and the third largest in the world? So we are putting our money on this basket: NALCO, NMDC, Vedanta, and Coal India, which again I've been saying any dip should be a buying opportunity.
And Sanjiv, given that the general consensus, at least from the brokerages, post the quarterly numbers of Hero Motor and TVS Motor, is pretty positive. They've all got buy ratings. Do you believe as well that it's an opportunity to enter?
Yes, Avan, it's the same crowd was giving you, targets of 23, 24, and now it's being up to 5,500. We think that Hero has been the star of the year, just like Tata Motor. And I still think that there is another upside, given that they've been very, very efficient in their, costs, and the margins have been superb, whichever, I've been tracking this stock for a long time. TVS has been, it's been like a juggernaut, which has hardly ever given you an opportunity, and their advent into EVs and the new launch of, mopeds and scooters for ladies has been a very, very big star hit across the country. So I still think there is an upside in that, and I would be positive on both those stocks.
Has your bike been delivered or not? The Royal Enfield, Sanjiv?
No, I have not still got that. The Harley.
Not the Harley, sorry, I stand corrected.
I am waiting for my Harley. Royal Enfield was when I was in college and I was the cricket captain and so on. I said that's a far cry.
Okay, yeah, I stand corrected. The Harley Davidson. Okay, in the meantime, lots of other stocks.
And quite a disappointment there. NII has dropped. Margins are also talking about NIM contraction going further into the coming quarters. What's the take on Piramal Enterprises?
Correct, and we know that in real estate development there has been a boom, but somehow this company has been a laggard. Now there is a transition which they did after the takeover of the large lender which went. So I think there's a transition phase which is going on for them after DHFL's buyout which they did, and I think that is evening out. I still think this is one of the pedigree plays in Bombay, Maharashtra. They have a huge market share there, and their transition has been relatively smooth. I think there's talk of they're merging the capital company with it. They will become a big NBFC. Now the whole ascent is how fast they can deliver on NIMs, and that will mean another 2 quarters before they even out. The DHFL buyout meant that they had to take over some assets which were, which had to be provisioned for. But all that, I think in the next 2 quarters will play out. If you see the way real estate is booming, I mean, DLF has sold out its whole inventory in the last 1 week, which is amazing at 6.5 crore a flat. You can imagine what the demand scenario is over here. And I think Piramal should be added on all declines.
Okay, that's the take coming in on Piramal and the entire realty pack. But Sanjiv, good to have you on the show as always. Thanks for taking time out. Okay, let's move on and let me now welcome.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.